kill, burn! Maim, kill, burn!
Hi folks, welcome to another episode of The Happy Heretic, and got some Warhammer news for you. If you haven't seen it by now, I'll just tell you what it is. So Warhammer Games Workshop announced earlier in the week that they were going to do a big animation preview event on Saturday. Well, Saturday came and went, and we got the animation preview, where they not only debuted the first 5 minutes of the new animated series, Angels of Death, that's going to be coming out in July. Actually, they put more like 7 minutes online. By the way, I'm filming this on my phone in my garage because everybody in my house is asleep. So if you hear anything weird like cars or planes or something like that, that's why. But they released the first 5 minutes or so of Angels of Death, which, I gotta be honest, I saw it, and it's interesting. It's legit, I think. The facial animation's a little bit janky on it, but I mean, other than that, it's got a good style. It's got a very retro-sounding soundtrack as well. Check the preview of it out. It's definitely interesting. But the other big thing that they announced, that Games Workshop announced, was a whole slew of projects. Some of these we knew about. Some of them are brand new, but they're debuting about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 or so shows, including Astartes 2, which is something that a lot of people have been looking forward to. They thought it was going to be on YouTube, but it's not, and I'll tell you where it's going to be in just a second. They've also got some anthology shows, some animated anthology shows. Think of, what was the Matrix anthology one that they did that had all the animated shows that were like part of the Matrix universe, but they didn't really tie into the Matrix movies necessarily? The Animatrix, that's what it was. Think the Animatrix, but for 40K and Age of Sigmar. That sort of thing essentially is what I'm assuming they are. But we got Hammer and Bolter, Angels of Death, of course, the Exodite, which we saw a little bit of a preview for a couple of months ago. Iron Within, okay. Altar of Wrath, Black Talon, Interrogator, Broken Lance, Pariah Nexus, High Lords, Astartes 2, and of course this is all going to be on a new service called Warhammer Plus. Now this is interesting to me. Now this is something that's going to be debuting in July. We don't know a whole lot of details because Games Workshop hasn't released a whole lot of details, and they won't until June 23rd. That's when they're going to tell us everything about what Warhammer Plus entails. But essentially it is Games Workshop's streaming service, is what it is. It's going to be their Disney Plus, their Discovery Plus, their HBO Max, their, pick a streaming service. That's what Warhammer Plus is going to be. And it says on the community website, this brand new service is heading your way in July, and you'll be able to start watching all these shows and more on your favorite device, from your mobile or tablet to your 4K TV, thanks to a bespoke app created by a big name in VOD content. Who is that big name? I have no idea. Several big names come to mind. Netflix, possibly. Disney, maybe, although I don't see that happening. Although Disney does have a lot of services in the UK. They do have Stars. Stars, I think is what it is. Star. I don't, some overseas streaming service. I don't remember exactly the name of it, but they have something like that. That's over in England, and of course they got Disney Plus and Hulu and all that. So there's any number of big names that it could possibly be. Now they also continue and say, of course, Warhammer Plus will offer far more than these animations. The full lineup and awesome subscriber benefits will blow your socks off. We'll have more news about how it works and how you get it on the 23rd of June. And then they have the first couple minutes of Angels of Death. with this preview of Angels of Death, I actually would recommend that you watch it, because it is actually, I'm not going to play it now because it is about 7 minutes or so. But it's interesting. It has an interesting look, an interesting style, very reminiscent of Sin City almost. And as I said, the soundtrack has a very 80s sci-fi feel to it. Kind of like, almost reminds me of Blade Runner in a lot of respects. It's like that synth wave type of music that was common on all the sci-fi shows back then, which I actually like. So I don't know. Now they also, for Warhammer Plus, have a website called warhammerplus.com. There's a shocker. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. So Warhammer Plus, more Warhammer, more often. And Warhammer Plus has a little bit more detail about it. They say Warhammer Plus will be an exciting new way to interact with the worlds of Warhammer. Animations are just the start. There's a whole heap of stuff coming, from more exclusive content to special access areas and dedicated offers and rewards. There might even be exclusive miniatures in the offing. Oh, see, that makes it more interesting, I think. See, the initial impression I got upon hearing the news was, oh, okay, this is just going to be a streaming service. Probably not a very good idea for Games Workshop to do, but it could be, depending on the content. In fact, I'm gonna give it. Well, no, I'm not gonna give a hot take yet. But looking online, the opinions that I've seen on Facebook and in some Discord servers that I'm on as well, seems to be that it's a bad thing. It's a very bad thing. It's going to cause the death of the hobby. It's going to cause, there's going to be gatekeeping for Warhammer. No new people are going to show up, or fewer new people are going to show up, because people were flocking to Games Workshop games because of things like Astartes being on YouTube and some other fan projects as well, and that's cut off a new an avenue of new customers for Games Workshop, and they're never going to get it back, and the hobby's just going to go into this downward spiral, and Games Workshop is going to crash and burn as a result. Okay, here's the thing. That could happen. That could very well happen. Given Games Workshop's track record in other avenues, minis are of course, they're one of the largest miniature manufacturing companies in the world, one of the most profitable companies in Great Britain. So they obviously know what the fuck they're doing there. With other aspects, multimedia aspects, there's a lot more misses than hits. With the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is with video games. Video games, there have been a lot of Warhammer video games of varying quality, but almost, I don't want to say almost all of them have been bad. I don't even want to say 90% of them have been bad. Let's say 75% of them have been bad games, just not very good games at all. There's been some really good games. Dawn of War #1, for example. That was a fabulous RTS. I loved that game. That was one of my favorite games to play when it came out. I did all the campaigns, and it was just a blast. I absolutely loved it. Some other games that have come out since then, Dawn of War 2, I didn't really like. There's some people that liked it, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I never played Dawn of War 3, but some of the other games that have come out, there've been some real stinkers, and just some real shitty games. Let's just be honest. And so I can understand why people aren't very confident about something like Warhammer Plus. And it very well could cause very well could cause Warhammer. God damn. It's late at night when I'm doing this, if you can't tell, and I worked a 12-hour day today, so, oh, sweet Jesus, take the wheel. Anyway, it's very possible that Games Workshop could screw all this up and could end up crashing and burning, and this could kill the company. Streaming services are not cheap. to develop. They're not cheap to run and maintain. They're not cheap to find content for. Content in general is not cheap if you want good content. Hell, even cheap content isn't all that cheap. It's really not. So, it is possible that this thing could just be loaded up with content that is absolutely horrible and does absolutely nothing for anybody, aside from Astartes 2. That might be the only real good thing about this whole service. But I think it's equally possible that, in fact, probably more likely that Warhammer Plus might not necessarily take off, but might survive. It might even thrive as a niche streaming service, kind of like with what DC and their streaming service was when that first came out. Now they're bigger. I think they've got some agreement with HBO, and a lot of their content appears on HBO Max. But back when DC first debuted their streaming service, it was a small, very niche service with some shows that people might not necessarily know, and with characters people might not necessarily know if they're not fans of DC Comics, and that service is doing all right. I haven't seen any hard numbers or on subscribers or revenue or anything like that, but I mean, it's still around. And like I said, they've got a deal with HBO where a lot of their content is also available on HBO Max. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible that this could be good. I mean, let's face it, streaming has exploded over the last year and a half, especially. Last 5 years, definitely, but the last year and a half especially has been insane for streaming because of the pandemic. Lots of streaming services have exploded. I mean, look with Disney Plus and how they exploded during the pandemic. Now, their subscriber numbers have taken a bit of a hit recently, and aren't as strong as Disney would like, but even still, I mean, the argument can be made that Disney Plus is what kept the company afloat in a lot of ways during the pandemic. So streaming's not going away. It's only going to get more popular. So it makes sense that Games Workshop would want to cash in on the streaming wave, essentially. It makes absolutely a lot of sense. And I'm sure that, this is something that has been batted around Games Workshop boardrooms, and high-level executives have been talking this over and making preparations. At least that's the hope. That's the hope, that this is all well planned out and they know what they're doing with it, and they're going to. Oh, I didn't want to click on that, but and they're gonna do a good job on it. I'd like to think that this wasn't the product of a cocaine fueled board meeting during a Games Workshop shareholder retreat in Montenegro or something like that. I want to believe that that's not the case, but it may very well could be. This could be a half baked idea that they really don't know what they're doing. But I'm willing, hot take, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to look at this objectively and say, okay, this might actually end up being good for Games Workshop, depending on a couple of factors. Number one, the cost. This cannot be a streaming service that is more expensive than other streaming services with equivalent content or more content. You figure Disney Plus, let's take Disney Plus as kind of like the standard of specific streaming services. Netflix is more of a general streaming service. Disney Plus is more specific. So I leave Netflix out of here for the moment, but let's focus on things like Disney Plus. With Disney Plus, you're looking at a monthly cost of $7.99 for a lot of content. I mean, Disney's entire library is just about as on Disney Plus, and they've got a lot of original content as well. I'm not being sponsored for this video by Disney Plus. I just want to make that clear right now. It's just a streaming service that I have and that I like and that I make use of regularly. That's all I'm saying. I'm not being sponsored in any way, shape, or form, although Bob Iger or Bob Chapek or any other Disney executive, if you're watching this and you want to throw a little something my way, send me an email. We'll talk. My people will call your people, and we'll set something up. No, they don't watch this. So you figure that something that's even more niche, like Warhammer Plus, if it's just a streaming service, it can't cost more than Disney Plus. It cannot cost more than $7.99 per month, because if it costs more than $7.99 per month, people are not, and it's just a streaming service, people are not going to pay for it, because it's not going to have the level of content that they expect for that kind of cost per month. Now, if it's cheaper than Disney Plus, let's assume that this is going to be priced similarly to a service like Discovery Plus or ESPN Plus. Again, I'm not sponsored by either of those services, so I just want to make that clear. But those services are, I think, about $5.99 per month, roughly. So for some very niche services. I mean, Discovery Plus only has Discovery content on there. There's a lot of content for Discovery, but you're not going to find anything else on Discovery Plus. Same thing with ESPN Plus. You're not going to find anything that's not from ESPN on there. So if they are, if it's priced at $5.99 per month or something similar to that, something around there, yeah, then I could see a fair amount of people subscribing to that. I could see a fair amount of people looking at that price point and saying, okay, this might actually be worth my while. Now, that's provided that there's a decent amount of content. Personal opinion, 11 shows is not going to cut it for any streaming service. No. People will sub for 1 month. They'll watch all the content. They'll binge watch it unless you release it week by week, which, let's be honest, they're not going to be able to do that for every single show. They can do that for the biggest shows. Maybe they'll do that for Angels of Death and Astartes too. But the other shows, they're going to have shows that have the entire show, the entire season online so people can binge it. And 11 shows is not going to cut it. You're going to need a lot more than that. So if it has a decent amount of content and it has a decent price point, then I can see a fair amount of people subscribing to it. At least initially. It might be one of those things like you see similarly with MMO releases, where you get this big rush of subs when it first comes out. Lots of people come and play the game and subscribe, and then when that first month is done, they all peace out and you're left with a ghost town. It might end up being like that, but again, if it's got a fair amount of content and it's got a decent price point to it, I think those people are going to stick around for a fair amount of time, at least until they've watched everything they want to watch. Then they'll cancel and move on to something else. Now, the other point that I want to bring up is if there's extras added on, that kind of sweetens the pot a little bit as well. Now, if we go back to the Warhammer Plus website, and I'll put links to these sites in the comment section so you can look at that. Let me reread that second paragraph for you. Animations are just the start. There's a whole heap of stuff coming, from more exclusive content to special access areas and dedicated offers and rewards. There might even be some exclusive miniatures in the offing. Now, from this, they are specifically saying that Warhammer Plus is going to be more than a streaming service. It sounds like from this paragraph, admittedly, it's not a lot of information to go on. It's just one paragraph. But it sounds like from here that there's going to be a lot of stuff to it. There's going to be not just streaming content, but there's going to be possibly offline content in the form of miniatures. I can definitely see Games Workshop mining these TV series for miniatures. They'd be stupid not to. They're a freaking miniature company first and foremost. If they're not mining these shows for new miniatures, then what the hell are they even? Why the hell did they even stay in business? So I would be absolutely shocked if we didn't see, miniatures of all the main characters in Angels of Death coming out in the next couple of months, or maybe a box set of Astartes from Astartes 2. Or something like that. I'm just throwing things out here, first things that pop into my mind. So But you combine that with special access areas and dedicated offers and rewards. So special access areas, first thing that comes to mind with that might be, okay, does Warhammer Plus get you access to the Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k apps and the full content of those? If that's the case, you got a lot of streaming content, you got a decent price point, somewhere between $5 and $7, maybe as high as $8 or $9, depending, per month, and you get access to a large portion of the Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar rule sets, if not all of it. That looking a lot better now. That's looking a hell of a lot. That might be something I might sub to at that point. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of stuff. And then you throw in dedicated offers and rewards. So with rewards, I'm thinking, I want to tackle that part first. For rewards, I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe time-based rewards, kind of like they have in some MMOs, especially free-to-play MMOs. A lot of them will have rewards based on how long you're subbed for. So if you subscribe to an MMO for a month, you get something special. You subscribe for like 2 or 3 months, you get something else. Maybe first month you get an XP boost. Maybe second month you get an XP boost and maybe a pet or something like that. You stay subscribed for 6 months, you get even more. A year, you get even more, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. So a lot of MMOs even have rewards, daily rewards, where you log in each day, boom, you've got a reward. And if you keep logging in every day for 1 month, you get something big at the end of the month. I could see something like that happening with Warhammer Plus. In fact, I think something like that would actually be a really, really good idea. And I'm surprised that there's literally no streaming service that offers something like that. I think if Games Workshop incentivized people to log in and watch their content, beyond just saying, okay, well, you pay us X amount of money per month, we give you X amount of content per month. Here you go, enjoy, be happy. But if they add something more, like, okay, you pay us X amount of dollars per month, we give you X amount of content per month, but we also give you this stuff if you just keep logging in. You don't even have to watch anything. You just log in every day for a month, and you get something cool. Maybe you get like a $5 voucher or something like that. I don't know. Maybe, it doesn't even have to be that. Maybe you get people. Rewards can be some of the stupidest shit. It really can. The dumbest shit will incentivize people to do stuff in online games, like emojis. You give people emojis for logging in every day or something like that. And that is going to incentivize a lot of people right there to actually log in and to subscribe and log in and do something. Now, is it going to incentivize gamers? We'll get to that. Now, with dedicated offers, I see that more being related to the web store and things like that. So with dedicated offers, Warhammer Plus getting access to dedicated offers, I could see them doing sales for Warhammer Plus customers. I could see them offering exclusive discounts for Warhammer Plus subscribers. I could see them, doing a whole host of stuff. Freebies. You subscribe to Warhammer Plus, you spend X amount in the web store, and you get a freebie. You get like a like one of those store coins, or maybe a free mini, or something like that. That, I think, is going to be more targeted towards gamers, the dedicated offers and rewards. The whole Warhammer Plus thing in general is definitely targeted towards Warhammer fans and Age of Sigmar fans, without 100%, without a doubt. But there's also going to need to be some wider appeal for the general public. if they want to bring in more people. Now, Games Workshop is a multi-billion-dollar company. They could just, make a niche streaming service for gamers and gear everything towards gamers and do completely fine with that. I think they probably could do completely fine with that, provided, again, you got a decent price point, you got a decent amount of content, and you got a decent amount of other stuff that goes along with it. If you got all three of those things, I think you got something that could, if probably won't take off, because I think it's a little too niche for that. But you've got something that will probably do well, I think, and survive and not kill the company. Because after all, that's what you want, is you want to avoid killing the company with your cockamamie money-making ideas. I guarantee you they are sinking millions of dollars into Warhammer Plus. And, there was a rumor that, going back to Disney, when My Disney Experience, if you don't know what My Disney Experience is, that's basically the online app for Walt Disney World. You can buy tickets and, get fast passes, park reservations, all the make hotel reservations, all the stuff that you can do on the Disney website, you can do it through My Disney Experience. That was it reshaped the parks themselves. It reshaped the way admission was handled. It reshaped the way check-in at resorts and room entry was handled. It was this big reorganization of Walt Disney World. And the rumor was that during the meeting where they were initially discussing this, Bob Iger leaned in and told everybody that was had a hand in the project, this better fucking work. And because they were sinking literally billions of dollars into My Disney Experience, into reorganizing everything. So Bob Iger's attitude at that point was, again, it's a rumor that I've heard, but his attitude at that point was, this better fucking work. And I think that's probably the attitude that Games Workshop executives are going to have. I can see Games Workshop's CEO, at the board meeting where this is being pitched, where they're discussing, or even after it's been pitched, when they're discussing how much this is going to cost and what's going to be involved in it. I can see the CEO of Games Workshop leaning in and in a very posh British accent saying, this better fucking work. Because it very well could kill the company if it doesn't do well. It's something that they've sunk millions of dollars into this, more than likely. It's very possible it may kill the company if it completely flops. Which, again, Games Workshop's track record, not the greatest when it comes to this sort of thing. But anyway, now I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. I was going to discuss some of the criticisms that I've seen online regarding this, but I've gone on way longer than I thought this was going to go. I figured like 10 minutes. This has actually turned into half an hour. So apologies if you've fallen asleep by now. I hope it's been an interesting discussion. Maybe I'll do another video on some of the arguments I've seen against it, which biggest argument that I've seen is, well, two big arguments I've seen is, well, one, you took Astartes off of YouTube, and that brought in a whole bunch of new people, and taking that off of YouTube is going to kill the game. Questionable if that's going to happen at all. And then the other argument, it was, this is just going to increase gatekeeping, which there's already a shitload of gatekeeping anyway. So, what the fuck's the point? What difference does it make at this point? What's one more thing? This, whatever. But maybe I'll talk about those in another video. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave this right here. I'm going to leave the links for the Warhammer community article, and I'm going to leave the link for Warhammer Plus in the comments section below. Although if you want to go to it and not click on the link, you can just type warhammerplus.com and it'll get you there. Again, not sponsored by any streaming service mentioned or Games Workshop. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing these names out here because I can. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave this right here. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think that this is a good move from Games Workshop? Do you think it's a bad move? Do you think that this is going to help the company? Do you think it's going to hurt it? Let me know, and we'll start a discussion. And like I said, maybe I'll do another video on some of the arguments that I've seen against Warhammer Plus, which honestly, they're not really very good arguments, I don't think. But anyway, so all right. So once again, I'm going to leave this right here. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Both of those things help me out quite a bit. And I will see you all next time.